Hello, Miss Grace class. Welcome to Noah's podcast project. I hope you guys enjoy this. We're just gonna get straight to it. So, the topic of race is gonna be the main point of today. Well, specifically, we're gonna be talking about how BLM supporters are often stereotyped or often assumed upon, or people just make these false assumptions about them, and how they're mostly understood. They're misunderstood. These BLM supporters, and people don't really aren't really trying to get their perspective on things sometimes. So the topic of race, specifically the BLM movement, has gotten crazy over the last few months, obviously due to the death of George Floyd and other African Americans due to police brutality. And this has led the world has been shook, and this also has led to multiple assumptions about those who support BLM, and which just aren't true. Some of those assumptions are that people who support BLM are black, or they just don't like the police or white people. That stereotype is completely wrong, because no matter your skin color or ethnicity, you can support the cause. And there has been leagues that have come together, all types of skin colors, and so that just proves that point. But we'll get to that later. So another stereotype is often that they they don't they're violent, or they can't hold a peaceful protest, but that isn't true, because most of the time they do hold an organized and peaceful one. And the ones who do get the ones that get violent, because there are some, those protests do not represent the black community or the BLM's community as a whole. That's just a certain amount of people that don't really aren't really looking for a solution. They're just there to be violent. So we're going to also talk about how those who support BLM have also most likely experienced police brutality themselves, or they've seen their loved ones go through it. And that's why they have this hatred or this feeling of redemption towards the police. They want to make it equal. They want to make it even almost. They want to feel like their loved one getting killed just isn't being dismissed. They want justice for that. They want to feel something good out of it. They want to get something good out of it. They don't want people to just be able to kill their relative and then just get away with it. That just isn't making them feel good, and that's also why they've either been violent, which I'm not saying being violent is the best way to solve things, but that's one reason why they've probably been violent, or they probably don't like the police. And them not liking white people, that's also just not true, because why if they don't like white people, then why are white people at these protests? Why are lots of white athletes, white actor, all these white celebrities have talked up and talked good about BLM and how they support it? And it just it's just it's not a good accusation about the BLM support. That's not a true one. That doesn't represent all of them. So going back on the point that all BLM supporters are quote unquote only black, that isn't true, because if you show up to these BLM protests and most of that and all those things, you can tell that there's a lot of course there's gonna be a lot of black people there to BLM, but at the same time there's other ethnicities that understand the BLM, that are there to support them, that are there to guide them through this tough time that they're going through right now with these killings and stuff. So that's just not true. And also, the one of the main examples that comes to mind when I think about people coming together of all ethnicities and races is in the NBA. The NBA, most of the players have kneeled during the national anthem in protest for justice, and on the court it even has Black Lives Matter written across of it. So that just goes to show you that it's not there's all types of races coming together for this. So for those specific people that just think that you can only be black, or there's only black people supporting BLM, that's just not true. BLM isn't just for one race, it's for everybody that supports the movement, basically. That's all it is. So the next assumption we're going to get to is we're going to hit on the subject of how they're just often accused of hating the police or white people. We're going to go back on this. the phrase Black Lives Matter has gotten so much hate because people think that when they say that, they think that it means that their lives don't matter. That's just not true because Black Lives Matter, the phrase is often misunderstood, and what it really is supposed to be meaning is that these black people and these people of all races, they feel like black lives aren't being treated as equal as everybody else, and that's why they're saying their race matters. They're basically saying that black lives matter too. Like, they're not saying that these other races don't matter. Yeah, all lives matter, but at the same time, at the moment right now, the lives that are in jeopardy and the ones that need the most help are the black lives. As you can see from this past year, it's been crazy, the killings and all this. And I'm not saying that only happens to black people, but the most notorious ones, the most, like, the ones that mostly the police don't get arrested as well, mostly the ones that are unjustful, those are the ones that are mostly the black ones. So that is why that phrase, people saying that phrase is based saying that their lives doesn't matter. That's just that doesn't make any sense at all. So, and moving on to the one of the last assumptions I have is that they're just violent. BLM supporters are not violent. They just want justice. You have to put yourself in their shoes. You have to put yourself in their situation. In their head, they're thinking, okay, I just lost a loved one, but nobody's getting in trouble for it. Nobody's getting charged with nothing for it, and there's just no justice being done. How would you feel if you lost a loved one and there was no justice being done? You would feel like there's like something like you're not being respected, like you're not getting the justice that you deserve as an American citizen. Like that really makes them feel like they just don't matter, and that's why they came up with the phrase Black Lives Matter, because they just feel like they don't matter sometimes when it comes to the cops getting convicted of these like charges that they really should be. And I'm not saying every time a black person dies it's just automatically the police's fault, they should just get charged, but no, in certain situations it really is their fault, and they like the government just doesn't arrest them or have them, like nobody gets them arrested for some reason because we don't know. But I'm not gonna say anything about it, but just know that there are situations where these people and these cops should definitely be getting arrested for some of these cases and for some of these murders of these black people. So, and the one and the protests that are being violent, I talked about it earlier. Those protests do not those violent protests do not represent the BLM as a whole and what they're trying to do. The BLM movement does not want people. It doesn't promote a violent protest. It just wants the justice for what's being done. They just want justice. That's all they want. If you give them justice, I promise they won't complain anymore. None of this would be happening at all. So this assumption that they're just violent, they're not violent for no reason. They're violent because they're often not respected and they're often not being treated fairly. And I'm not saying being violent is the best way to solve things, but that's why they are violent when they are. So in conclusion, these BLM supporters have so many assumptions made about them. They're violent, that they only like black people. They don't like white people. They don't like the police. They're violent for no reason. Like Black Lives Matter means that other lives don't matter. None of these are true. And no matter what your ethnicity, what your race is, or what you've been through, you can still go out there and support these causes. And who cares about what people assume about you as a BLM supporter? Even if you're white or not, it does not matter. If you really want to support the cause, you can. So, and we're gonna finish off with that was it right there. We're gonna finish off with our ad of the day, and our ad of the day is Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is an immersive online experience with everything you'd expect from a brand new RPG title. It's got an amazing storyline, awesome 3D graphics, giant boss fights, PvP battles, and hundreds of never-before-seen champions to collect and customize. I never expected to get this level of performance out of a mobile game. Look at how crazy the detail is in these champions. Raid Shadow Legends is getting big real fast, so you should definitely get in early. Starting now, you will get a huge head start. There's also an upcoming launch tournament with crazy prizes, and not to mention this game is absolutely free. So thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video, and thanks for everybody for listening to my podcast. And that's it.